YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy Young Mustard, and I am back with another video to discuss the team that has shocked basically the entire NBA community, and that is the Detroit Pistons. Now, I do know some people had this team making the playoffs, but in my opinion, I did not think they would actually make the playoffs. I'm sorry, I did not think Detroit was well suited for the playoffs. Andre Drummond took a step back last season, and I do think he was a little bit overrated going into the season because he had just had his breakout year, so all that pressure on him, and from the free throw line he just basically got worse. Hack a Shaq, let's just be real, that shit was crazy. And I mean, he didn't even play some of the fourth quarters because he was such a liability later on in the game, especially from the free throw line. But I do think that this team this year has stepped it up. I mean, everybody should think that. They're 10-3. They're second in the Eastern Conference, only to the Celtics, who are 13-2, and they're only 2 games behind them. So it's pretty obvious that this team has stepped up and it has clicked. Now, why it has clicked, I believe it is for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, Andre Drummond is grabbing his boards and getting his points. Reggie Jackson is doing okay. Also, when you look at the addition of Avery Bradley, that is really helping them. When you check their plus minus on and off the court, it is significantly different when Avery Bradley is on the court versus when he is off the court. But to me, the big thing that has stood out this season from the Detroit Pistons, it has to be Tobias Harris. Now, for those who don't know, Tobias Harris is the current starting small forward for the Detroit Pistons, and this year he's actually having a career year. Now, Tobias Harris, in my personal opinion, has been one of the more underrated players in the NBA. Last year, he actually averaged pretty solid numbers, as he averaged 16 points per game, about 2 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 84% from the free throw line, also shot 35%, or should I say just under 35% from 3, and 48% from the field. Now this year, all those numbers have basically taken a jump. He is averaging not 16 points like last year, but 20 points. He has jumped to a 20-point per game score this season. He's averaging roughly the same amount of assists, 5 rebounds. Instead of shooting 84% from the free throw line, he's shooting just under 91% from the free throw line. He's also shooting not 35% like last year from 3, but under 51% from 3. Just a little bit under 51%. He's shooting 50.6% from 3. And actually, he's taking more threes and he's making more. He's attempting 6.4 threes this year in comparison to 3.8 last year, and he's making 3.2 this year in comparison to 1.3 last year. And his field goal percentage is basically the same at 48.1%. So it's pretty obvious that this year, in my opinion, I understand that Avery Bradley is balling, but you also have to look at the fact that Tobias Harris, he has taken a jump as well. And even when you look at the plus minus, yes, Avery Bradley has a better plus minus, or should I say the team has a better plus minus versus when he's on the court versus when he's off the court, but they also have a better plus minus when Tobias Harris is on the court versus when he's off the court. It's 4.1, or should I say plus 4.1 when he's on the court, and a negative 3.0 when he's off the court. So obviously it affects the team when he has to sit down versus when he plays. And also, when you factor in that Avery Bradley this year offensively is not what he was last year, and you also have to consider the fact that it's really the defense that they needed at that 2 spot. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope left them last year in free agency, so they had to get another guard, and Avery Bradley is clearly one of the better on-ball defenders in this league, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, arguably the best perimeter defender in the league. So, and it was actually a crime that he was not on that All-NBA defensive team. Let's just get that out the way. But in terms of who has been the reason that they have improved, or should I say what has been the reason, it has to be Tobias Harris and his jump in his numbers. He's averaging 20 points per game. That's the most he's ever averaged. And also, he's doing it efficiently. He's shooting 48% from the field, which I know is the same from last year, but his 3-point percentage has gone up. He is shooting 50% from 3. 50% on 6 3-pointers attempted per game and 3 3-pointers made per game. And then from the free throw line, he is shooting 90%. Do we not realize that this man is 2% away from the field in terms of his field goal percentage from having a 50-40-90 season as we speak? And to be honest, it's not even a 50-40-90. It would be a 50-50-90 season, because That's how efficient he is right now. So in terms of who is the reason, or what is the reason why the Pistons have jumped to where they are right now in terms of being the second best team in the Eastern Conference by record. By record, not saying that they're better than Cleveland or better than Boston. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying by record in terms of why they are the second best team in the East. It is because of Tobias Harris's jump in his efficiency and his numbers. And it's not like this team has beaten slouch teams. Let's just look at the teams that they have played. They've beaten the Bucks, who have Giannis as an MVP candidate. And what's crazy is, as in that game where they beat the Bucks, is that Giannis, yes, he did have a great game, but that was one of his lesser games, as his rebounds were only 4 and his assists were only 3. And also, they've beaten the Timberwolves, who have been no joke this season. Let's just be real. The Timberwolves this year have been a really solid team, as this year they are also at an 8-5 record, and they are 3rd in the Western Conference. And they have beaten the Golden State Warriors, who are the best team in the NBA by a large majority. Let's just be real. They are far head and shoulders above the NBA. And one of those losses that they have suffered are to the Detroit Pistons. So when it comes to how this team performs against even to some of the better teams in the NBA, this team can hold its own. They've shown it on numerous occasions. And I think that this team can will themselves into the playoffs as a 6th to 8th seed. Now, I understand that right now they are a 2nd seed, so that would require for them to get worse and to start losing more, but I do not think it's because they're going to get worse. And I understand they will be losing more for them to drop to that type of seed, but I don't think it's because of the fact that they're going to get worse. I think it's because of the fact that other teams are going to get their footing this season. Let's just be real. The Cavaliers are going to find their way back to the top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Let's just be real. They're going to go to the finals. They do that every year. As long as a man named LeBron James is on that team, they're going to do that, barring injuries to any key major players such as Kevin Love or Isaiah Thomas. Not LeBron, because LeBron will always stay healthy. And then when you look at a team like the Washington Wizards, I believe they're going to catch their footing later on in the season. Kelly Oubre is actually stepping up for them. I give him massive props. John Wall and Bradley Beal, they're a top 5 backcourt in the league. They're going to get their stuff together. And then when you look at also a team like Milwaukee, the addition of Eric Bledsoe is going to really help this team. I mean, they've beaten the Spurs. I mean, this team is going to be dangerous. They're going to be a huge wild card in the playoffs. They're going to get their footing. I also expect Toronto to get their footing. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, even though I know Kyle Lowry has been a little bit disappointing this year, they're going to find their footing. OG Anunoby is actually really good. I'm showing some love. I'm kind of just showing a lot of teams in the East some love right now besides the Pistons. But like I said, this team is going to, you know, they're going to struggle a little bit later on towards the season when these teams start to find their footing. And also watch out for the Sixers. I think Ben Simmons looks hella nice right now. This man is definitely making the all-star team if he can consistently put up the numbers he's putting up right now. Joel Embiid, barring injuries, will be very dominant this year, and I think they will be fighting for that 6th to 8th seed as well with the Pistons. So as long as the Pistons keep playing what they are playing right now, no injuries occur. I mean, injuries are a possibility. No injuries will occur to this team, hopefully. And I think Tobias Harris will consistently improve. If this man can jump to 25 points per game, this man is going to be a solidified star. To be a 25 point per game scorer on a playoff team that can consistently do it, if they can consistently do this on a night-to-night basis, I mean, Tobias Harris, whew, we're looking at a future all-star if he can consistently improve at this rate. And if he can jump to 25 points per game, this team is going to be a very dangerous team in the Eastern Conference. Andre Drummond is rebounding very well. Reggie Jackson is balling. Avery Bradley, we all know what he is. 3-and-D, to be honest, this year. Let's just be real. Don't get me wrong, he can create his own shot every now and then, but he can really just spot up when it comes to the 3-point line. And then when it comes to his defense, it's elite. We all know this man's going to make that first-team All-NBA defense. If he doesn't, that's going to be a crime, and it's going to be criminal. I don't want to see no second-team All-NBA defense. And if he doesn't make any All-NBA defensive team, then I don't want to see anybody on any All-NBA defensive team, because it is a crime not to have this man on a All-NBA defensive team. You cannot talk about NBA perimeter defense without bringing up Avery fucking Bradley. So to wrap up this video, you guys, if you enjoyed it, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Also comment down below in the comment section if you agreed or disagreed Also, you guys follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and add me on Snapchat. The links will be down below in the description box. So without further ado, we out. Peace.
No do, gotta for me. No do, say